To my future wife. There are things I want to say to you that I have never said out loud to anyone. Not because I was hiding them, but because I was saving them. These words have lived in my chest for years, tucked away like unmailed letters sealed with both fear and hope. There's something sacred about what I feel as I write this, like whispering in a candlelit room, where even silence feels holy. These aren't words I want to rush. They deserve stillness. You deserve stillness. Sometimes I imagine this letter resting somewhere between time and longing, waiting for the day it finds you. Maybe you're reading it in the glow of a late evening, maybe with tired eyes after another long day. Maybe the world feels heavy, and something in you needs to be reminded that love, real love, isn't a myth. That somewhere out there, someone was becoming ready for you long before paths crossed. That someone like me was learning how to hold tenderness without trembling, how to become home for someone like you. Before you arrive fully into my life, I need you to know who I was while I was waiting for you. I wasn't untouched by pain. I wasn't flawless or untouched by doubt. There were days I thought I had already met love, only to discover that love isn't always found in hands that reach, but sometimes in the hands that let go. I made choices that hurt me, not because I wanted pain, but because I was still learning what love truly meant. I learned the hardest truths in the quiet aftermaths, after someone left, after my heart cracked open, after I realized that loving someone doesn't always mean they will stay. I confess, I lingered in places I should have walked away from. I mistook intensity for intimacy, and passion for peace. I held on to people who made me feel seen, even when their vision of me was blurred. I tried to earn love when I should have known that love, at its purest, isn't a transaction. Every heartbreak stripped something from me, my pride, my illusions, my false definitions, and what was left was a man learning how to stay open, even after loss. There were nights I begged God to tell me if you were real. I'd look up at the ceiling, stare into the dark, and ask, is she out there? I wondered if you were somewhere feeling that same ache, thinking about someone you hadn't met yet, praying for love that didn't hurt to hold. I used to imagine your laughter echoing somewhere far away, a sound I couldn't yet hear but somehow recognized. You were faceless, nameless, just a calm feeling. A kind one. The kind of presence that feels like peace, not performance. Those nights of wondering slowly taught me something. I couldn't meet you if I was still searching for you in other people. So I stopped. I turned inward. I started asking a different question, instead of, when will I find her? I started asking, who am I becoming for her? Because I realized something vital, you don't wait for love by standing still. You wait by growing into the kind of person who can hold it without breaking. So I learned how to be gentle with myself. How to sit in silence without reaching for noise. How to find the difference between solitude and loneliness. I learned that being alone doesn't mean being unwanted. It can mean being in conversation with God, with your own healing, with patience. I spent countless evenings journaling words that no one else would read, writing prayers disguised as thoughts, and letters like this one, letters you might never know existed, yet somehow they belonged to you all along. And it changed me. Bit by bit, day by day. I began to love myself in small, genuine ways. Making my bed became a promise to myself. Reading became a form of prayer. Working on my dreams became my way of preparing for you. And that matters, because when I finally love you, it won't come from a place of emptiness, it will come from wholeness. I won't come to you needing to be completed. I'll come to you ready to share the fullness I already found. There are wounds I don't want you to inherit. So I healed them quietly. You'll never have to fix me in places I can fix myself. I didn't want to meet you bleeding, expecting your love to be medicine. I wanted to meet you steady, open, and honest, bringing not my pain as a burden, but my heart as an offering. The kind that says, I've been through storms, but I'm still here, still tender. Because yes, I am still soft. I still feel deeply. I still get moved by simple things. The smell of morning rain, the way light falls on closed curtains, the sound of quiet after midnight. I still believe that love is something gentle, something that takes its time and listens with both ears and heart. I believe in slow mornings with shared silence, in hands that speak when words can't, in gazes that don't demand but reassure. When I think of you, I don't imagine grand gestures or cinematic moments. I imagine peace. I imagine mornings where we sit in comfortable quietness, sipping coffee side by side. I imagine teasing, laughter spilling easily between us. I imagine your soft sighs when you finally let your guard down, when you feel safe enough to be unmasked. I imagine learning the rhythm of your presence, the way you breathe, the things you notice, the songs you hum without even realizing. I want our love to be slow burning and patient, like a candle that lasts through the night. I don't want the kind of love that rushes in loudly and leaves quietly. I want the one that stays. The one that still feels new, even in old age. I want a love that grows instead of fades. When you come, I won't promise perfection. I won't always say the right things or read every silence correctly. But I promise to try. I promise presence. I promise to hold space for you, not only when you shine, but when you struggle. I'll care for you in the small ways. The way I look at you when you think no one notices, the way I memorize your laugh so I can bring it back when life feels heavy. When something hurts you, it will matter to me as if it happened to my own heart. Your pain won't be dismissed or minimized. I'll never tell you to get over it. Instead, I'll choose to sit beside you, quietly, hand in hand, until the storm passes. Love isn't about rescuing, it's about staying. I want to be the man who listens when you whisper, not only when you shout. The man who notices the sadness hiding beneath your practiced smile. The man who can read when your shoulders tighten from worry even before you speak. I want to protect your peace, not because you are fragile, but because peace is sacred and hard to find. Sometimes I think about the small moments no one else sees, the ones that make love real. Like making breakfast together and arguing about how much salt should go in, then laughing when we both taste it and realize we were both wrong. Dancing badly in the kitchen to some old song because joy shouldn't be saved for occasions. Falling asleep mid-conversation, one of us whispering a half-finished story the other already knows by heart. It's in these unscripted moments that love reveals its truest form, ordinary yet infinite. Love doesn't always need poetry, sometimes it needs patience. It's not always spoken. Sometimes it's in the quiet nods, in shared glances, in the way you reach for my hand without thinking. And when the world outside demands too much of you, when people pull at your energy, when exhaustion shows in your eyes, I don't want to be another thing you must manage. I want to be where you exhale. A place that doesn't ask you to perform, but invites you to rest. A place where you are allowed to be undone without judgment. If there are days when fear whispers that love is dangerous, I'll understand. I know that fear. I've lived it. I've felt it breathe down my neck after heartbreak, convincing me that vulnerability is a trap. But I've also learned that the only way love remains beautiful is when we choose to trust again anyway. So, when you tremble, I'll remind you, love isn't meant to cage you, it's meant to free you. I remember the nights when that fear was louder than anything else. After someone I loved walked away, leaving me with pieces of conversations that no longer had a place to land, I built walls so high I couldn't see over them myself. I told myself it was protection, but really it was isolation. I stopped sharing the small things, the way a song made me cry on the train, the dream I had that felt too fragile to say out loud, the quiet hope that maybe someone would stay. I learned to carry everything alone because sharing felt like handing over ammunition. But alone isn't the same as safe. Alone is just quiet in a way that echoes. Then, slowly, I began to unlearn that lesson. It started with small risks, telling a friend about a fear I'd never named, admitting to myself that I still believed in love even after it had hurt me. Each time I spoke a truth and wasn't punished for it, something inside me softened. I realized that the danger wasn't in being seen, it was in never letting myself be seen again. So when you come to me with your own fears, when you hesitate before telling me something that feels too raw, I won't rush you or judge you. I'll just listen, the way I wish someone had listened to me when I was still learning how to speak after silence. I'll never use your vulnerability to win arguments. I'll never weaponize your honesty. The things you trust me with, the insecurities, the childhood stories, the scars, I will hold them gently, as if cupping a flame I want to keep alive. I know what it costs to share those parts of yourself. I know the courage it takes to hand someone the tender places and say, "Here, this is me, the unfiltered version." I've felt the tremor in my own voice when I've done it. So when you give me those pieces, I will treat them like sacred things. I won't bring them up in anger. I won't twist them to make a point. I'll remember that your trust is a gift, not a tool. There will be moments when I fail at this. I'm human, and humans stumble. There will be times when exhaustion or pride makes me sharp, when I say something I regret the second it leaves my mouth. But even then, I'll come back. I'll apologize without defensiveness. I'll name what I did wrong and ask how to make it right. Because love, to me, isn't about never hurting each other, it's about choosing to repair when we do. We'll argue, of course. Every real couple does. But when we do, I want us to remember it's not you versus me. It's us versus the misunderstanding between us. I want our love to be strong enough to hold disagreements without breaking under them. To choose understanding over victory. I've been in relationships where arguments felt like battles to be won, where the goal was to prove I was right rather than to reach each other. Those fights left me empty, even when I'd won. They taught me that being right means nothing if you end up alone on the other side of it. So with you, I want something different. I want us to fight fairly. No low blows. No silent treatment that stretches into days. No keeping score of past mistakes. When voices rise, I'll try to lower mine first. When I feel defensive, I'll pause and ask myself what I'm actually afraid of. Because most arguments aren't about the dishes or the forgotten errand, they're about feeling unseen, unheard, or unloved. If we can remember that, we can move toward each other instead of away. Some nights, when we are both tired, when words fail, when neither of us knows who's right, I'll reach for your hand in the dark. Because that's what love is to me, not silence as punishment, but silence as safety. Not distance as defense, but space with open arms. I've known both kinds of silence. The kind that punishes, where the air feels thick with resentment. And the kind that heals, where just breathing in the same room feels like enough. I want ours to be the second kind. The kind where sitting on opposite ends of the couch still feels connected because we know the space isn't permanent. There will be evenings when we come home drained from the world, when all we have energy for is takeout and quiet. And that's okay. Love doesn't always need words. Sometimes it just needs presence. Your head on my shoulder during a movie neither of us is really watching. My hand on your back while you stir something on the stove. The small, wordless ways we say I'm here, I'm still here. If ever you doubt my love, I will show it again and again, not with perfect words but with consistent presence. I will show up. I will keep showing up. I'll listen. I'll learn your love language by heart. Not just how you say, I'm happy, but how you say, I'm scared, I'm tired, I need you. I believe love is a language we learn together, one that gets richer with time. I want to become fluent in you. To notice the way your voice changes when you're pretending to be fine. To know which kind of touch calms you when words won't. To remember that sometimes, I need you, sounds like, leave me alone for 10 minutes, or, tell me it's going to be okay, or just, sit here with me. I don't want a love that burns wildly for a moment and leaves ashes. I want a love that stays warm over time. A love that lasts through seasons, through laughter, through hardship, through the sacred ordinary days. I've seen the wildfire kind of love. The kind that consumes everything in its path and then wonders why there's nothing left. It's intoxicating in the beginning, but it doesn't know how to sustain. I want the slow-burning kind. The kind that can sit in comfortable silence after 20 years. The kind that still reaches for each other in sleep. The kind that knows how to be both passionate and patient. I want us to build traditions, small ones that become ours alone. The way we always make pancakes on rainy Sundays. The playlist we add to whenever one of us hears a song that feels like us. The inside jokes that make us laugh years later when no one else would understand. The way we say goodnight, even when we're mad, because some things are more important than being right. And one day, when we're older, when our hair grays and the world has changed 1,000 times, I hope to look at you and feel that same quiet awe I felt the day I realized you were real, that you existed, that God answered the prayer I once whispered into the dark. I've carried that prayer for years. Not a demand, but a hope. A quiet conversation with God about the kind of love I longed for. The kind that feels like home. The kind that makes the ordinary feel holy. I didn't know your name then. I didn't know your face. But I knew the feeling I was asking for, the peace that would come when the right person finally arrived. I'll never ask you to be perfect. I'll only ever ask you to be real, with your laughter, your doubts, your messy mornings, your unfiltered dreams. And in return, I'll give you the most honest version of myself. Not a polished image, but a man who keeps trying to love better, forgive faster, and stay vulnerable even when it's hard. I'm still growing. There are parts of me that are still healing. Habits I'm working to unlearn. Fears I'm learning to name instead of hide. But I'll share the process with you. The good days and the growing days. The days when I feel strong and the days when I need grace. You were never late. You were never missing. You were always on your way. Every heartbreak, every prayer, every night of loneliness, they all carried me closer to you. I used to think the hard seasons were punishments or detours. Now I see them as preparation. Each disappointment taught me what I didn't want. Each lonely night taught me how to be whole on my own. Each prayer refined what I was asking for. I'm not the same person I was before the heartbreaks. I'm kinder, I hope. Wiser, certainly. More careful with hearts, including my own. I learned that waiting isn't passive. It's active becoming. It's choosing to heal instead of harden. It's deciding that past pain won't dictate future love. It's keeping hope alive even when it feels foolish. So while I waited, I worked on myself. I learned how to communicate better. How to apologize sincerely. How to listen without planning my response. How to hold space for someone else's feelings without making them about me. All of it was practice for you. And when you finally arrive, I'll recognize you, not by your face, but by the peace that comes with you. Because for years, I've been practicing for that moment. I've been preparing my soul to meet you, not as someone seeking salvation, but as someone ready to build a life filled with faith, laughter, and quiet kinds of love that only deepen with time. I imagine our life together in small, sacred moments. The way we'll pray together, sometimes with words and sometimes just holding hands in silence. The way we'll celebrate the big things, anniversaries, accomplishments, new beginnings, and the small things, finding something we thought we'd lost, a perfect parking spot on a stressful day, the first snowfall. The way we'll navigate the hard things together, illness, loss, seasons of doubt, not perfectly, but faithfully. I picture us growing old in the gentlest way, not with fear of time passing, but with a quiet gratitude for every year that stays. I imagine mornings where we wake slower, not because we are tired of life, but because we have learned how precious it is to linger. Our hands might not move as quickly as they once did, but they will know each other perfectly. They will reach across the bed without thinking, finding warmth and reassurance in the simple fact that the other is still there. I see us learning new things together even when our bodies slow down, taking classes we don't need, asking questions we already half know the answers to, laughing when we forget and trying again anyway. I see books stacked by our chairs, pages bent and marked, and evenings where we read aloud to each other, our voices carrying stories while the rest of the world goes quiet. I see us sitting on porches in the soft light of late afternoons, watching grandchildren we haven't met yet, making up their futures in our heads, smiling at the way life continues beyond us. I see us still choosing each other every single day. Not because it's expected. Not because it's easy. But because after all the years, all the knowing, all the seeing of each other's worst and best, the choice feels sacred. Familiar, yes, but never dull. This is the kind of love that knows every flaw and stays anyway. The kind that doesn't pretend perfection but treasures persistence. The kind that has weathered storms that once felt impossible and somehow came out stronger, softer, wiser on the other side. The kind that remembers nights of tears and mornings of forgiveness and carries them not as scars, but as proof. I want us to keep dating each other forever. I don't want to lose the spark of curiosity, the thrill of discovery that doesn't fade just because we know each other well. I want us to still plan little surprises, still leave notes where the other will stumble upon them unexpectedly. Notes tucked into bags, scribbled on mirrors, folded into books. Notes that say simple things like, "I thought of you," or "Thank you for today," or "You look beautiful," even when you're in sweatpants with unwashed hair and the day has been long. Especially then. I want us to never stop noticing, to catch the small changes, the new habits, the quiet victories. To choose wonder over familiarity. To remember that the person across from me at dinner is not just my partner, not just someone I know well, but a miracle. That out of all the people in the world, through all the randomness and timing and chance, we found each other. I know there will be seasons when love feels effortless, like breathing. Days where everything flows, where laughter comes easily, where being together feels like rest. And I know there will be seasons when love requires effort, like tending a garden through drought. Seasons where patience is tested, where words must be chosen carefully, where forgiveness takes courage. I'm ready for both. I've learned that love isn't just a feeling that appears and disappears on its own, it's a choice we make again and again. On the days when it's easy and especially on the days when it's hard. I'm ready to keep choosing, even when it costs something, even when pride needs to be set aside, even when growth is uncomfortable. There are so many things I wish for our home, not the kind of wish that drifts away, but the kind I hold deep in my chest, like a steady heartbeat reminding me of what really matters. I want our home to be soft in the ways that count. Not perfect, not curated to impress anyone, just honest and holy in its simplicity. I picture sunlight spilling across the floor in the early morning, catching on the dust that dances through the air. I imagine the scent of something warm in the kitchen, coffee, bread, maybe cinnamon, and the sound of quiet laughter echoing down the hallway. I want that kind of peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on things going right, but the kind that holds steady even when life feels uncertain. I want our home to be the place we can both exhale. A place where we can take off the masks the world sometimes makes us wear and remember who we really are. Where I can come home weary, and you're still glad to see me. Where we don't have to be afraid of silence because it's filled with understanding, not distance. I want it to smell like comfort and sound like belonging. I want it to be the place where we both learn the art of staying. Staying soft in a hard world, staying kind even when we're tired, staying present when life rushes past. I imagine us sitting on the couch in our messiest moments, hair undone, dishes in the sink, a to-do list that never ends, but still feeling a deep sense of peace. Because even when the world feels heavy, we'll be on the same team. I want our home to hold more laughter than apologies, more forgiveness than frustration, more grace than comparison. I want it to be a place where we speak life into each other. When one of us is low, the other gently lifts them. When one of us stumbles, the other reaches out instead of turning away. When words fail, I hope love still speaks in the quiet ways, an embrace, a meal shared, a hand squeezed across the table. I want us to pray, not just out loud, but in the hidden ways too. Prayers whispered over each other in the morning before busy days begin, prayers said silently when we can tell something is weighing on the other's heart. Prayers that aren't just requests, but thank yous. I want us to thank God for the seemingly ordinary things that are really miracles in disguise, another sunrise, another chance to love better, another day of being given to each other. That's the legacy I want to build in the walls of our home, one of faith, of kindness, of patience. I imagine our walls remembering more than pictures ever could. They'll remember laughter late at night when we can't stop making each other smile. They'll remember music playing while we clean, the rhythm of our days becoming its own kind of song. They'll hold echoes of deep talks where we uncovered new layers of each other's hearts. They'll carry stories of disagreements that ended in understanding instead of resentment, of tears that turned into lessons, of moments that could have broken us but instead built us closer. I want those memories to be the foundation of our family, evidence of grace that never gave up on us. Our home doesn't need to impress anyone. I'd rather it be a refuge for those who step inside. A place that feels like a sigh of relief. Where anyone who visits feels seen, known, safe. I picture us hosting friends, family, maybe someday our children's friends, offering warmth instead of performance. We'll open the door and mean it when we say, "You're welcome here." No pretending. No perfection. Just presence. And as we build this life, I want it to overflow beyond us. I want the love we cultivate within these walls to ripple outward, to touch the people around us. When others see us, I don't want them to see perfection, I want them to see commitment. To see grace in motion. To see what it looks like when two imperfect people keep choosing each other, every day, even when it's not easy. I want our love to be a quiet testimony that faithfulness is still beautiful, that steady love is still possible. That peace can exist between two humans trying their best under God's gentle guidance. I want to build a legacy that outlives us. Not just in children, though I hope for them and dream about teaching them how to love deeply, but in the way we show up for others. In the way we live our faith out loud, with gentleness and truth. I want people to look at how we forgive each other, how we serve each other, and recognize something sacred in it, a reflection of divine love in human form. Because love that lasts doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be real. It needs to stay. And in the meantime, before all that comes to be, I'll keep becoming the person who can hold that kind of love well. I'll keep learning what it means to be patient, gentle, and strong in character. I know I'm still in a season of preparation, and that's okay. I'll keep growing into the man you deserve, the kind of man who leads with humility, who listens before he speaks, who learns from his mistakes, who loves without needing to control. I'll keep softening in the places I've been hardened by disappointment. I'll keep praying that God continues to shape me, chiseling away pride and fear until what's left is love that looks like Him. These words are my practice runs, small offerings of what my heart hopes will someday become our reality. I write them in stillness, in moments of quiet faith, tucking them away like seeds into the soil of time. I'm not rushing what God is growing. I'm not forcing what isn't yet ready. I'm trusting that the waiting itself is sacred. That even the silence is doing something unseen but essential. That love doesn't bloom out of impatience, it grows from preparation, from surrender, from timing that only heaven understands. There are days when the waiting feels long, almost endless, like a quiet stretch of road under a gray sky that promises rain but holds back just enough to keep you wondering. On those days, I sit with my thoughts and let them wander to you, wherever you are, whoever you are. I wonder if you're out there right now, maybe sipping coffee in a crowded cafe or walking alone through a park as leaves fall gently around you. Do you ever pause and think about someone like me? Someone who's been praying for you in the quiet moments, holding space for a future we haven't met yet? I wonder if you've had your own nights of doubt, those sleepless hours when the world feels too heavy and the heart aches with questions no one else can hear. Have you whispered prayers through tears, asking for guidance, for strength, for the right love to find its way to you? I think about what's shaped you into the person you are becoming. The heartbreaks that cracked you open, teaching you vulnerability in ways you never asked for but needed all the same. Those moments when someone walked away, or when trust was shattered, leaving you to pick up pieces and learn that pain doesn't have to define you, it can refine you instead. Maybe there were victories too, small or grand, that reminded you of your resilience. A dream achieved against the odds, a challenge overcome, a season of growth that showed you you're stronger than you knew. And then there are the quieter moments, the ones that brought you closer to God, the sunsets that stopped you in your tracks, the scriptures that spoke directly to your soul, the prayers answered in unexpected ways. I pray that wherever you are, you're surrounded by peace right now. Not the absence of storms, but the kind of peace that holds you steady through them. I hope you're becoming more fully yourself each day, shedding layers that no longer fit, embracing the parts of you that light up when you're truly alive. I hope you're learning what makes your heart come alive, the passions that pull you out of bed in the morning, the hobbies that lose you in time, the causes that stir something deep within. Finding your purpose isn't always a thunderclap. Sometimes it's a gentle unfolding, a series of yes and no's that lead you closer to who you were created to be. I hope you're learning gentleness with your own soul, forgiving yourself for the missteps, celebrating the progress even when it's slow. Be kind to yourself in the mirror, in the quiet reflections, in the days when doubt creeps in. And I hope you're not rushing either, not forcing timelines or settling for less because waiting feels hard. Love that's meant for you won't arrive too early, when you're still figuring out your own edges, nor too late, when hope has withered. It will be right on time, in God's perfect rhythm, when both of us are ready to receive it without grasping. Sometimes I think waiting is its own form of love, a sacred discipline disguised as delay. It's trust in motion, a daily choice to believe in something beautiful that I can't yet see or touch. It says to the universe, to God, I believe your promises are true, even when the evidence is scarce. Waiting forces me to grow roots before branches, to dig deep into the soil of my own life before reaching outward. It teaches me to become grounded in who I am, my values, my faith, my quirks and strengths, before inviting someone else into that space. In this season, I'm learning to build a life worthy of sharing, one filled with purpose and joy that doesn't depend on another person to spark it. I don't want to expect you to complete me, that's too heavy a burden for any human heart. Instead, I want you to complement what's already whole, to add your colors to a canvas that's vibrant on its own. And maybe that's the heart of preparing for true love. Not waiting idly on the sidelines, scrolling through distractions or numbing the ache, but building inwardly with intention. Becoming steady, not perfect. Steady in my faith, in my habits, in my emotional world. Learning to manage my anxieties, to communicate kindly, to hold space for both joy and sorrow. Arriving at the doorstep of relationship not as someone desperate to appear put together, but as someone who's done the quiet work of healing and growing. Waiting has shown me that rushing often leads to regrets, to connections that feel exciting but lack depth. So I'm choosing patience, trusting that the delays are divine detours, shaping me into a better partner, a better man. I imagine the day we finally meet, and it's both thrilling and calming to picture it. Maybe it won't be dramatic, no chance encounter in the rain with orchestral music swelling in the background, no movie script perfection. More likely, it'll be simple, quiet, unassuming. Perhaps at a mutual friends gathering, or through a shared interest, or in the most ordinary way, like reaching for the same book in a store or smiling across a room during a community event. But something in my heart will know. It will recognize the peace I've been praying for all these years, a settled knowing that defies explanation. It won't be about fireworks or overwhelming intensity, the kind that burns bright but fades fast. No, it'll be about rest. Finding someone whose presence feels like coming home after a long journey, where the soul exhales and says, finally. Your laughter will soften the edges of my day, turning ordinary moments into something warmer, lighter. Your silence will feel safe, not awkward or loaded, but a comfortable space where we can just be. I imagine us sitting side by side, no need to fill every second with words, yet feeling deeply connected. We won't need to prove anything to each other. No grand gestures to convince, no performances to impress. It'll just be right, like puzzle pieces that fit without force. That first recognition will be subtle, a quiet click in the spirit, affirming that God's timing was flawless. Our first conversations will be a delightful dance of discovery, the curiosity bubbling up as we ask gentle questions about each other's lives. What do you love most about your work, or what's a book that's changed how you see the world? The pauses filled with nervous laughter, that sweet awkwardness of newness where eyes meet and dart away, cheeks flush just a bit. We'll share the easy stories first, the fun childhood memories, favorite travels, light-hearted anecdotes that make us laugh without reservation. And then, as trust builds like a slow-burning fire, the deeper ones will emerge. The stories that take courage to tell, the vulnerabilities we've guarded closely. I'll listen to yours with full attention, not interrupting to share my own, but truly hearing the weight and the beauty in what you've carried. I imagine the moment when vulnerability stops feeling risky and starts feeling like communion, a holy exchange where souls meet without masks. When honesty becomes second nature, flowing freely because we've created safety together. You'll tell me about the things that tried to break you, the losses, the betrayals, the seasons of darkness. And I'll listen not to fix or offer quick solutions, but to understand the contours of your heart. To honor the strength it took to rise from those ashes. And when I share the parts of me still healing, the regrets, the insecurities, the wounds that linger, you won't flinch or pull away. You won't run. You'll stay, with compassion in your eyes, perhaps reaching for my hand or offering a quiet, "I'm here." That staying will be one of the greatest gifts, a testament to the kind of love we're building. I look forward to learning how your mind works, the unique way you process the world, your insights, your humor, your perspectives that might challenge and expand my own. How your heart loves, the ways you show care, the languages that speak loudest to you. How your faith moves you, the practices that ground you, the ways God speaks to you in the everyday. I want to learn your rhythms, the ebb and flow of your energy, the times you're most alive in the morning light or reflective under evening stars. Your preferences, big and